What's up, everybody? It's the Power Rankings Podcast, aka the Power Rankings Show Short. It's Monday evening on the East Coast, I guess late afternoon, where I'm at. Marcus is waiting on a slow cooker to finish his not brisket, it was
beef ribs.
Beef
beef short ribs.
I almost said beef tips, whatever that is. Look, I'm not a barbecuer. Okay, sorry, everybody. When I come home to Texas, I eat Mexican food. Tex-Mex. I know you don't like Tex-Mex, Marcus. That's all right. You could just say so. Yeah, they don't have that in Pennsylvania. But what they do have in Pennsylvania and everywhere else is some big football news. Aaron Rodgers traded finally. It's been going down for what, maybe 3 months now?
Forever.
We've been hearing this. Yeah, it seems like since January, when the Packers didn't make the playoffs. Obviously, the Jets didn't make the playoffs either. And Aaron Rodgers has been rumored to go there. Finally did. Let's get the trade details first, and then we'll dive into it.
Yeah, so obviously the Jets get Aaron Rodgers. They swap first-round picks, so the Packers get pick 13. The Jets get pick 15. The Packers also get a second-round pick, number 42. There's another late-round pick swap where the Jets get pick 170. The Packers get 207. But the big piece in this one is a 2024 second-round pick that becomes a first-round pick for the Packers if Aaron Rodgers plays at least 65% of the snaps.
Yeah, man. So I hear this, and one of the sticking points that we all heard was that the Jets wanted to trade a 2, the Packers wanted a 1. I hear this, and I'm like, boy, did Green Bay win this trade? Did they win it big time? Because they get a little swap in the first round. Okay, not a big deal, but there's still something there. 2 spots in the top half of the first round. Then you've got the second round pick. Then you've got a second round pick next year, which is already pretty good value. But the fact that Aaron Rodgers only has to play 65% of the snaps for that to turn into a 1. So you're looking at the Jets getting a 2, a 1, and the swap in the first round. I think this is an easy victory for GB.
Yeah, the Packers do well for a quarterback that clearly didn't want to play for them anymore, that was contemplating retirement, right? So the Packers are obviously winners here. It's just, do you think the Jets won their portion of the trade? Because I do. I think the fact that they didn't have to give up a first round pick this year, they get to keep a top 15 pick. They still have a second round pick. In this draft, I believe it's pick 43. You can use those picks to help build around Aaron Rodgers right now. And that's the key, is the Jets are trying to win right now. So not giving up all of your top end assets for this year, I think, is a big win for them.
I just wish, I don't disagree with you, but I don't think as big a W as you do, because
yes,
I wish that was more like 80% or even 90%. Now, 90 would be tough, because what if the Jets have big leads and they pull Aaron Rodgers out? Maybe for me, if it had been 16 games that he had to play, 14 games, something like that. 65% of the snaps is not a big number to me. I think it's too easy for Aaron Rodgers to have a so-so year, be unavailable for a sizable portion of that year. I mean, we're talking about Lamar Jackson, right? And people are upset that he missed 4 games each of the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
The 4 games he missed weren't 35% missing. You know what I'm saying? So this would be like Aaron Rodgers missing 6 games. If Aaron Rodgers misses 6 games and the Jets go 2-4, but he still plays 65% of the snaps and they got to give up a 1, I don't love that part of it.
I would have liked to see it be based on whether Rodgers plays at all in 2024, because that's what's going to hurt the Jets here. If Rodgers has let's say he has a good year and decides, you know what, I'm done, and now you're giving up assets for a quarterback that's retired, that's going to be the issue. But I will say, if Rodgers plays so, that pick is still going to be in the 20s, right? And I think that's what the Jets realize is, hey, even if we get the 14th best quarterback in the league, we're going to be fine. It's not going to be a top 15 pick. It's not a big deal. I think this is totally different from the Broncos trade that they made for Russell Wilson last year, because I think the Jets are just so much closer to being a actual contending team in the AFC.
Not to mention the division. the
Yeah.
Broncos were in. I mean, the Chargers in Kansas City, you're looking at 2 playoff teams in that division. But um, I would just say this, going back to the Lamar Jackson point. Lamar Jackson, for all the, hubbub about him missing time, he still played, and I'm guessing here, guesstimating about 75%
Around there.
Raven snaps the last 2 years. And there's a concern about his style of play. Well, Aaron Rodgers, 39 years old. There's got to be concern about how much he can play as well. But when you set it that low, the bar at 65%, I'm just quick math here. Like I said, he can miss at least 5 starts. And that could be tough for them in a really difficult conference.
Now, I think the Jets did protect themselves a little bit. Like, let's say, knock on wood, the worst case scenario happens and he gets hurt in week 4, right? And he's
Mhm,
just out for the rest of the year. Okay,
mhm.
at that point, you still get to hold on to your top 10 pick and you can rebuild or whatever. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think you're right. 65 feels very attainable for Rodgers. And then for the Packers to get another first round pick to build around Jordan Love with next year.
It's attainable without being close enough to full time for my
Yes.
taste.
Yes.
So that being said, I do feel like this is kind of a win-win. I think it's just a bigger W for Green Bay and a smaller W for the Jets. But we should say the Jets have a young nucleus. They have built through the draft. This is not a sage veteran team where you've got a lot of big contracts coming up. This is a team that you can afford to do this right now and win right now. I kind of like the aggressiveness of that.
Yeah, and I will keep coming back to it. They still have pick 15 and pick
Mhm.
43. And there's not a lot of needs on this roster. I think they need one offensive tackle, which they should be able to get at
Yep.
15.
Yep.
And then I think they could use a little bit more depth on the defensive line, which you can get in the second round. If they fill those 2 spots, the AFC East, it's gonna have a new contender.
Yeah, I think their defense is going to be all right. Their wide receiver group looks like it's going to be all right. And that includes tight end. Let's not forget they had a really sterling second round pick that missed the majority of the season last year. He's going to be back in Brees
Mhm.
Hall. Yeah, hey, let's see what they can do. But that's our take on the Aaron Rodgers trade. And listen, for Marcus to be this glowing about it is really something, because Aaron Rodgers is like Marcus's. Where would he rank on Marcus's power rankings of favorite players?
Uh, very bottom.
Yeah. So there you go. But for more takes from him, it's at Marcus_Mosher on Twitter. And of course, the host of Locked On Cowboys with Landon McCool. I am at Harrison NFL on Twitter. And we will see you next time with our next power ranking short. And we got a big show on Wednesday. Take care, everybody.